normal. Well, it is where I am anyway. Tonight, for my next tying instalment, I'm going to tie a really simple fly. It's a Stalking Bug. I can't take credit for it. It is, I think it's been designed by a chap called Martin Williams, who ties a lot of bugs like this over in the UK. It can be used for pulling if you wanted to, but predominantly it's heavy, so it is used for dropping right onto the trout's nose and almost inducing that take for them. So really stalking the margins, plopping it in, and hoping the trout just goes, ooh, what's that? Yum. And that's it. So what we have in the vise is a standard wet fly hook. That's a size 10. And on the business end of that, we've got a 4mm tungsten copper bead. And that's really where the weight comes in. It gets it down very, very quickly. We're going to be using 2 threads. First of all, a fire orange thread. And secondly, I've got a neon red thread. This is 1/0, and the only reason I'm using that is to build bulk for the body, because the body is made of thread, but you want a really carrot shaped, you want it really fat at the bead and quite thin at the end. So I'm going to use that thread just to build the bulk quicker than the sort of 70 denier thread I've got. And the only other material we're going to use really is this. It is Togens Pro Skin holographic bronze. It's lovely stuff. It sparkles nicely, and actually it's really quite flexible in the water, so it's not rigid. There is some movement there as well if you need it. So without further ado, let's get on and tie the fly. And I'm going to start with a big fat bulky thread. I'm going to kick off behind the bead, catch the thread on, about halfway down, and then come back up. As I said, you want a taper on this fly, and you want that taper to be fairly exaggerated. So what we're going to do is just going to keep going behind the bead, and every now and then go down, back up again. And what this will also do is stabilise the bead during the tying process. We're going to go down again, back up again. Please excuse my son's watch. There you go, that bead doesn't move now at all. Spins around a bit, but we're all good. So we're going to go down, back up again, and just hold it there for a minute. And then we're going to tie in the corony skin. So a little tip here, just use the weight of the thread, bring it around the front and onto the top. And I always tie my tails in at the head of the fly. And the reason for that is it allows you to wind the right way, first of all, without being all handsy. And secondly, if you look down on the top and lift the tail up, the tailing material up slightly, it means you're going to get touching turns all the way down without too much effort. I just want to make sure that that's in a nice bunch. I don't want any slipping down the sides. That's not the look we're going for here. And then you take it to where you want, opposite the barbish, a quick one behind, just to make the tail sit up a bit, stop it wrapping, and then we are into building that carrot shaped body. And I want to steer well clear of the bend end of the hook. Let's get rid of all of that. Okay, right. And this is literally now just a question of building that taper with the bulky thread. A few there just to finish off those ends. Down 2/3 of the way, I guess. Back up. And the reason we're using the thin thread afterwards is A, just to add some richness. I'm just going to turn that around slightly so I can see what's going on. But also, the thinner thread will slip into the gaps that this thread is too fat for. Right, now just want to go down there just to even it up a bit. There we go, that's it, perfect. You just need to make your own fun whilst you're doing this. And then that's good. So now make sure that's butting up to the bead. I'm going to come in with the thinner thread, this 70 denier as I said. You don't need to whip finish the bulky stuff, just tie in this stuff. And as you tie back, you're obviously tying down the other stuff. Then you can snip both the tag end and the other thread off at the same time. And then just keep going with this stuff. And you're only going to need to go down once or twice. It's literally just to add a sheen to the fly that wasn't there from that slightly duller stuff. And also just to fill in the gaps. The 70 denier UTC lays really flat, so it creates a much smoother body than the big fat one-all stuff. There we go, that's it. Fly finish nearly. I need a whip finish tool, which is never around when you need it. And then, I don't know, 2 or 3 turn whip finish. It's not massively important because we're about to, what's going on there? Okay, we're about to douse the fly in UV resin, because by doing that, we also create no friction on the body, which makes it sink that bit quicker as well. So before I do that, I want to cut the tail to size. That's far too long for me, and I've set the material clip there very deliberately so that I can get the Kironi skin and snip. And for me, when I'm cranking out lots and lots of these for different people, if I use that materials clip, I know I've got everything in proportion. So now all we need to do is find a dubbing needle. I'm using Loon. This is one of the few that I've found that really does dry clear with no tackiness. And I've got the brush applicator in at the moment, which I quite like, I have to say. Just need to make sure you don't get too many globs of resin on the brush stick. And then it's just a question of putting some on there, spreading it about a bit. And I think UV resin, for those of you that don't use it regularly, less is more. Put some on, spread it about, set it, and then come back and do some more. Don't try and overwork the resin. Don't try and stick loads on at once. Do it in layers. So there's one. Set that. You can see how that body pops under that UV light as well, can't you? And you can see it's the trusty Togens torch. So we're going to spin that around, and then we're going to do the underside. Again, making sure I've not got massive amounts of resin running off the bottom of the brush, because that would be bad. And what you don't want is any resin in that tail. You can use varnish if you want to. I prefer resin because what resin does that varnish doesn't, a bit like the UTC 70 actually, resin fills in gaps. Varnish tends not to. So I'll set that. I'm just gently working my way around the fly. And then, didn't do that side, didn't do that side. I get confused. I'm easily confused. Started a new job today, so my mind is fried. And I had to deal with children when they got home from school, so my mind is fried. Whoopsie, that is far too much. What I didn't do there was wipe the brush stick. And again, I'm not going to edit that out of the video because I think it's important that everybody sees that even people who make fly tying videos make mistakes. Does it wrong. So we're just going to work this all the way around, nice and even. I can feel that nice smooth body already. Work it right up to the tail but not into the tail. Ooh. So there's a bit on the bottom that's not been done. So what I'm going to do now is just get a drop onto the dubbing needle. I'm not going to get the brush out because I think that's a bit too clumsy, just for a small bit. There we go, that looks lovely. Perfect. There we go, and then I just spin that round, set it. No, it doesn't, that's not good, is it? Bit of strobe lighting for you all there. And that's it. It's as simple as that. Wonderful fly. Very heavy, sinks very quickly, but it will cast on a 5, 6 or 7 weight rod, so you can lob it out there and pull it back if you want to. But if you see a great big trout in the margins, drop it on its nose. The copper and orange is a killer. Let me know how you get on. You can look me up on Facebook or on Instagram or via the Togens website. It'd be great to know that this has been successful for you. And until next time, good luck, tight lines. Thanks.